Hi friends, I'm Ashley and welcome back to my channel and to the start of another reading vlog. So in today's video, I'm going to be reading A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwan. So this is a fantasy romance that came out recently. So at the time of filming this video, it's the beginning of September and this came out at the beginning of July. And so it's only been out for a couple of months. Seems to be like pretty popular so far and I've seen it like around a little bit. But the first place that I heard about it was in a video by Cups and Thoughts. And I saw it in their video and instantly was intrigued. And so I did end up picking it up. And not gonna lie, the cover and the edges definitely drew me to the book and made me want to pick it up. But I also read the inside flap and it seemed very intriguing. And so let me just read the tiny little blurb that's at the top of the book just to give you a small idea of what it's about. So it reads, "All Nina has ever wanted is to become an artisan. All Patrick seeks is a craftsman revolution. Will they choose their greatest desires or each other?" So that's just a little sneak peek. And really all I know about this book is what is written on the inside flap. I don't really know much more about it. But I'm really excited to read this because I just have a feeling I am really gonna like it. Although that being said, sometimes that feeling is wrong, but I'm hoping that it's not wrong this time around. And so without further ado, I'm just gonna go hop right into this and I'll be back once I've read some to tell you more about what this book is about and to share my first thoughts. Alright, I just have to read the first line of the prologue because it draws you right in. So this prologue is from one of our main character, Nina's point of view, and the first line reads, "I took the name of a dead canary." Like, what? Tell me more. Tell me more. Hi, so a little bit of a check-in. So I just read the prologue in chapters 1 and 2, and so far we've been introduced to both of our main characters, Nina and Patrick. And what's interesting so far is Nina's chapter perspective is in first person, but Patrick's chapter perspective is in third person. And we learn that they live in a world where there is two different types of people. You're either an artisan or a craftsman, and which one you become is determined when you're 12 years old. So the craftsmen are just the working class, and they work in the mines and the farms and stuff. And then the artisans have magic. And there's already like a clear divide between the two. It seems like the artisans hold power over the craftsmen, and the craftsmen definitely have resentment towards the artisans. And so in chapters 1 and 2, Nina and Patrick are both boarding trains, different trains, they have not met yet. And they are heading off to a city to be tested to see whether they will become an artisan or a craftsman. And so far, the two have very different attitudes towards the whole situation because Nina very much wants to become an artisan, whereas Patrick wants to stay a craftsman and he refuses to let the artisans take him away from his family. And so that is just like a little rundown on the story so far, and I am going to continue reading. Okay, so there is elemental magic in this world because on chapter 10 it says, "A man blew into his closed fist and light appeared. It burst through the cracks between fingers. When his hand unfurled, the light flew from his palm like a dozen released doves and was captured by the lanterns that lined the street. Fire charmer," we whispered. So that's cool. It looks like there's a trade-off with the artisans having magic because they have magic, but it says that the craftsmen have superior vigor, strength, and endurance. Oh, I think Patrick and Nina are meeting. Hi, so it's now Sunday, September 7th, and I'm here with a reading update on A Forbidden Alchemy. So, last I gave some thoughts, I was talking about how Nina and Patrick had just gone off to take their tests that would determine whether they would be an artisan or a craftsman and essentially determine their entire lives. And so they get to the city where they're going to be tested, and this is where Nina and Patrick end up meeting because there are a lot of kids that are taking this test, and the way that they are doing it is that they are calling the kids in town by town, and they're starting with like the closest town to that city and going further out. And Nina and Patrick's towns are some of the furthest out towns. And they are in like an area that is known as the Brink. So the two of them end up meeting, they end up talking, and through their conversations, we learn about the magic system of the world. And the magic system in this book so far is very fascinating, is one of my favorite things so far about the book. In this world, their magic comes from this liquid that is only found in a certain type of rock mineral that is called terranium. And this liquid is called idiom, and it is said that it is the blood of a daughter of God. And so there's a whole backstory behind the magic system. And so in this magic system, there's all different types of magic. Magic system also has like a hierarchy. So at the bottom of the totem pole are scribblers, and they have domain over ink. And so they can essentially send messages with their minds. And so they can make messages appear on paper from wherever. And so that seems like a really cool power to me, but it is actually at the very bottom and is not looked like too highly upon because so many people have that ability. And above that is cutters who specialize in precious stones, so diamonds, quartz, amethyst, so on. And so they can mold gems into any shape with their minds. And then slightly above that are smiths who mold copper, iron, nickel, gold, and silver. And then above that, you have masons who mold wood and stone. And then at the very top, the most important job of all and the rarest type of magic is an alchemist. So, alchemists are the only people who can extract the liquid from the rock. And so, essentially, without alchemists, there would be no magic in the world. Because in order to use the magic, this liquid has to be injected into your veins. But there is one other type of magic that could rival alchemists, and that is charmers. So charmers have elemental magic, so they can manipulate the elements. And the book mentions earth, fire, and water magic, but I don't think, unless I missed it, I saw anything about air magic, so I don't know if that's not a thing or if the book just hasn't mentioned it yet. So the two of them, since they have a long time before they're going to be called to take their tests, they end up going on a little adventure. And in this adventure, they end up discovering that the whole test of determining whether they can use magic or not is actually staged. It's all fake. And so during the test, to determine whether you have magic or not, they end up injecting you with idiom, with the magic liquid. And if you have magic, you'll manifest your magic. But if you don't, then nothing will happen. But they have been rigging it so that they actually have false liquid that is not actually the real liquid. And so they choose who they give the real liquid to. And they end up hearing a conversation where someone is saying, "Oh, we found all the new artisans that we need for this year, so we don't need any more, so make sure you just use all the fake liquid." And so Nina is devastated by this because she really wanted to be an artisan. And so she is just shell shocked and doesn't know what to do. And then Patrick, he is angry about this. But he also feels really bad for Nina and how devastated she is. And so he ends up actually stealing some vials of the liquids. So he takes two fake ones and two real ones. And he ends up giving a fake and a real vial to Nina, and he tells her, he's like, "Hey, like, if you really want to be an artisan, then use this real one." But he's like, "The choice is up to you. Like, don't let them decide for you. Make your own decision." And so she does end up using the real liquid during her test, and she actually manifests a power, and she is actually revealed as an earth charmer. And there hasn't been an earth charmer in like hundreds of years. And so it's a big deal. But also, the lady who is in charge of all the testing is like shell shocked, and she knows something has gone wrong because she knows there wasn't supposed to be any more artisans at this point. And so she like ushers Nina into like a corner and looks at her and it's like, what's your name? And Nina's like, Nina Harlow. And the lady's like, no, now you're Nina Clark. And then she gives Nina like a whole new false like backstory. And so while this lady was like in charge of everything going on here, you get the feeling from her conversation with Nina that there is a higher power above her head and she's only doing as she was told. And so now she is trying to save both Nina and herself by concocting this false backstory for Nina so bad things don't end up happening. And so that's the other thing I want to say is I'm very much getting Hunger Games vibes from this book just in the way that like the world is set up. So you have that really clear divide between the artisan class and the craftsmen and how the artisans clearly have unfair power over the craftsmen, which feels a lot like the capital and the districts from the Hunger Games. And also the town that Nina goes to be tested feels a lot like the capital, but just not as extravagant. And also, the leader of the artisans, Lord Tanner, is definitely giving me some President Snow vibes. So after the test and it being revealed that Nina is an earth charmer, she ends up going off to the artisan school. And chapters 9 to 13 of the book follow Nina when she is at this school, and so we get like glimpses into her years at this school. And another very interesting thing about this book is an adult fantasy romance. But at the very beginning of the book, our characters are only 12 years old. And so from pages 1 to 62, Nina and Patrick are 12 years old. And then from then to page 80, you see Nina slowly getting older and older until we reach chapter 13, which is a chapter where she graduates from the school, and at that point she is 18 years old. And then after chapter 14, we do get a time skip, and now Nina is 25 years old, and it seems like the rest of the story is going to be following her at this age. And so, like I mentioned earlier, I'm enjoying the story so far. I'm really interested in seeing the relationship develop between Nina and Patrick. Oh, and also, I didn't mention this earlier, but when Nina was at the school, she ends up like having a romance with this other boy who is the only other charmer in their year, and he's a water charmer, and his dad is an important person in the artisan government. And so I am very interested to see if he ends up making a reappearance. And I'm also interested in seeing more with the magic system as well, and just seeing like where the plot goes. Hi, so it is now Monday, September 8th, and I'm here with reading update. I had to update because I was reading this morning, and at the chapter where I ended off, there was a plot twist, and it was one that I did not see coming, so I was caught off guard. And I'm not sure how I feel about it because so far there has been like no hints or breadcrumbs towards this plot twist. And I'm the type of person, I don't like plot twists that fall out of the sky. Like there could be like a plot twist that happens and I don't see it coming, but then it happens and my mind goes back and like follows like a trail of breadcrumbs that led to it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But so far this one, there is none of that, and that makes me a little nervous because the last time I read a book with a plot twist that fell from the sky, that ended up ruining the entire book for me. And before that plot twist, it was like possibly a 5-star read, and that plot twist just made it a 2-star read for me. And so I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with this because up to this point, I've been enjoying this. I've been having fun with this. And since I last updated, Theo, Nina's old boyfriend from when she was at school, does make a reappearance, and so that's been fun because the tension between Theo and Nina and Patrick is just really great. And so I'm all here for the romance right now. And also I had to mention how Patrick has a dog named Isaiah that is just like the happiest little doggy who follows him around everywhere and is always wagging his tail, and it's just like a happy little doggy, and he's just cute and makes me smile. And that's what I like about this book. So like there are a lot of heavy moments in here because there's a war going on, but also like within those heavy moments there's also more lighthearted moments as well. You get to see the impact that the war has had on people, and in that aspect this book is kind of sad. But also like even though the war is going on and people are going through hard times, they still find moments to celebrate. Also, the banter between Nina and Patrick is also keeping the book from being too dark as well. It's so cute. Theo, Theo, Theo! He's gonna do something. I know he is. Oh. Okay, another plot twist. What? Hi, I'm here with an update, and the update is that I finished this like 10 minutes ago, and I am not okay. The ending of this book hurt so much, and it's the first book in a duology, so I knew it was coming, but it still hurt, and now my heart is just in 1,000 pieces. So yeah, I need the next one in this duology, like right now, please, to heal my heart. So I'm giving this 4 stars. Overall, I enjoyed this a lot. I had a lot of fun with it, except for the ending. The ending wasn't fun. The ending was pain and suffering. And I'm still not like a big fan of how that first plot twist happened either, how it was introduced. I feel like it's a good plot twist because it added like extra complexity to the story and really made our characters suffer. But I just didn't like how it was introduced. But there were 2 other plot twists towards the end of this that I did not see coming, but I thought those were well done. And after reading them, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, actually. So, yeah, I would recommend this if you are a fan of fantasy romance. It is very character focused. I feel like the plot is kind of slow in like the beginning and the middle, and it's more focused on the characters, and it's especially focused on Nina and Patrick getting to know each other and understand each other, and also just with like Nina getting to know everyone else in the town. And I really enjoyed the characters in here. I love Nina and Patrick, our main characters, and also there were so many like side characters in this that I really enjoyed reading about as well. And I am worried. I need to know the status of Isaiah, the dog, after what happened in the end. We don't know what happened to him. Is he okay? Like, I need him to be okay. That being said, like, there is a plot and stuff towards the end ramps up, and like the final like pages of this book are just insane. So yeah, those are my thoughts on A Forbidden Alchemy. If you read this, let me know down below what you thought. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.